morning. So your handouts are my speech, but with references. So if you have questions, you can look it up there. Am I supposed to be closer to the mic? Sorry. Okay. Everybody gets to play. We say this a lot for many reasons, I suppose. To motivate people to action, or to motivate ourselves to keep on sacrificing. And this is good and right, but like so many things that are good and right, it can become our identity, our value, or even our idol. We are the good server. We are the Martha, but careful not to complain, which, by the way, is not the point of that story. We serve because we are independent and blessed, or we serve because we are broken to the point of service. But let me show you that in order to grow a community of service, one must create space to let others serve you. This is not a service, this service isn't the blessed being obligated to serve the needy, or even the wise serving the new or the young until they are good enough to serve the next tier down. This is a service where everyone serves everyone out of the love that we all have from God. This is fellowship. Look at the disciples. They were sent out 2 by 2 to people's houses where they were to give their peace. If that gift of peace was rejected, they were to shake off their sandals and leave that place and not do work there. But if their peace was received, then they were to stay in that person's house, receiving hospitality from them, and there they could do the work that they were called to do. They did not go into those places asking for things. They came offering. They came looking for a place that would make room for them. When we ask to give our peace, when we ask to help, when we ask to give the gifts that God has given us, and someone receives those as a blessing, that is a place where we can stay and receive from and work into. Seeing that the disciples' peace was worth receiving, we see that God's gifts are worth receiving. When someone comes into our church and says, "Hey, can I help you?" we say, "No, I've got this." We are saying, "No, your gifts aren't good enough. God hasn't blessed you with any gift worth receiving. I can take care of it myself, and I don't need God's blessings from you." And that is not a kind of place where anyone can do ministry. That's not the kind of place where anyone can work into. And that's not the kind of place that anyone can receive from. That is not a fellowship. If someone offers us something, we should say yes. We should say yes and take it gratefully, and then we can bless them as part of our fellowship. Then we are working together into whatever ministry God has for us all in that place. Because we are all one church, and we are all one body, and we all serve one God, we can't reject a member of himself. We can't say, because they are not an eye, that they are not part of this body. Even more than just not rejecting others, we can actively make space for them. We can leave needs in our lives unmet by our own means so that God can meet them with friends or even strangers. I am not saying that we only serve those that can serve us. We are servers primarily and called to meet the needs presented to us. And still, we need to leave room for us all to serve. Before we knew God, he was giving to us. When God was a stranger to us, he gave us salvation, and we accepted that gift. So, we can't reject the gift of someone else because we're not sure what part of the body they are. We can't reject them just because we don't know who they are. Ask for discernment, yes. Discern what gifts God has for us in this person. Know how God is asking us to trust him so that we don't forsake them for the safety that we find in our own independence or in the pride of our service that would have us say, "No, your gifts can't be good enough. God can't really be in you. God can't possibly be in the king of Egypt." Go read that story. It's in your notes. God can use whoever or whatever is willing. He can give to us through them. Compare that last story with Melchizedek. Nobody knew much about Melchizedek, but Abraham received blessing from him anyway, because he saw that God was the one blessing him through Melchizedek. However, Josiah did not recognize God's blessings in Pharaoh, and in that rejected God's ability to bless the just and the unjust, to see that it's not about us or them, but it's about God. We share in the fellowship that God gives us through the exchange of service, because it is an honor. It is an honor to be served, and it is a dishonor to reject service. It dishonors all the parties, including God. Consider Levi. Jesus goes to eat at Levi's house. This honors Levi, and it honors Jesus. Both of them are honored in that situation. There are so many times when Jesus takes the lowest person and honors them and turns them into a leader. Why? Because that brings honor to him. Don't reject Jesus' feet washing just because, Don't reject Jesus' feet washing because in that you would be rejecting his fellowship. However, like Peter, don't go to the extreme of wanting a full bath and assuming the position of only ever being served. This also rejects the idea of fellowship. There is a tension in being humble enough to allow others to honor you and being honored enough to humble yourself and serve others. You can be served and serve at the same time. You can be the ruler and the servant at the same time. In the same way, we might think that our offering isn't good enough. We might think that our offering isn't big enough or mature enough or complete enough. We might think that our offering and what we have isn't worth enough, that it isn't the Pharisees' huge amount, it's just 2 cents, and so why would anyone want that? Because Jesus did. Jesus wants it, and that's why we want it, because it's enough. Our fellowship is enough. What Jesus has given us is enough, and it is a blessing to receive that. This is why we have joy in sacrifice and suffering, because our service isn't earning our salvation. God already did that. So this is just a bonus that we get to do this too, that we get to participate in this way in Christ's suffering and sacrifice and service, because he doesn't need to have us do that. He could just take care of us and not have us serve each other. He could take care of us and not let us have fellowship. He could take care of us and do his own work without us, but he wants us to serve him. He makes space to let us serve him, and that's why it's not a burden to do any of these things. It's a joy, because it's an opportunity to serve, an opportunity that God did not need to give us, but that we need to continue to offer to others. And it is just as much an opportunity to be served, to be part of that fellowship, and to be like Jesus, letting others do his work with him. So let's play together, taking turns and watching God win. Thank you.